wants to find me. I'll be in the last place you would look, in a place where people used to be, a land that's called reality. You'll find me there. I won't be catching up on Reddit. I won't be watching any news. I'll let the planet spin without me, 'cause everything has been without me sometime. And everyone will be alright if I'm not live by satellite. It's a beautiful day, I'm running away. Don't bother to Facebook message or call me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Film Box Podcast. Have you ever wanted to listen to a couple guys in their 20s go in-depth on your favorite movies, spanning back from before they were born all the way to the modern day? Do you want to know once and for all which movie in a given genre, going back the last 40-plus years, reigns supreme? Well, on this podcast, we review films from each decade within a certain genre and then compare them in a bracket-style challenge to see which film comes out on top and is declared champion. I'm your host, Aaron Souza, and joined with me today are a couple of dudes who probably wouldn't sell anything if they were going on a month-long sales road trip. It's Connor Jameson and Sam Majewski.
Hello.
Once again, you're very bold with your assumptions. You don't know me.
Hey, look, all right? I'm just going with how I feel in the moment. And in the moment, I feel like that's what's going to happen.
This is slanderous.
Well, we're in November, guys. We're finally past horror movie month, and I'm very excited. It was a long month. We watched a lot of horror, but now we've moved on. We've moved past it, and we have now started the next theme, which is movies from comedy legends. And to start us off, what better movie to start us off with than the great Tommy Boy from 1995.
Tommy Boy.
I'm very excited for this movie. It was one that I had not seen before. I don't know if you guys had seen it before, but I hadn't, and it's been on my list, and I'm glad I've watched it.
Yeah, it's my first time seeing it too, so it was good.
It's funny. I've seen this before this year, and I only remember seeing it because I just put my desk into like where I live, and I just remember because it's got like the L-shaped attachment. I just remember turning over and I'm like, I'm gonna put on Tommy Boy. Why not?
It's interesting time for a first time viewing, I guess.
Yeah, it's Constantine too, I think.
Wow.
And what's it called? Taxi Driver.
Jesus, what a selection.
Yeah, just
You went all over the map.
yeah. I have no moods.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh my goodness. Well, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this film, first we got to go over some production notes. So, this movie was released, obviously, March 31st, 1995, with a runtime of 1 hour and 48 minutes. It was directed by Peter Siegel, who also did The Longest Yard, 50 First Dates, Anger Management, and Get Smart. So he's pretty prolific in the comedy film space. Produced by the great Lorne Michaels, who, if you don't know, is SNL. So, like, yeah.
I was trying to figure out where that name was familiar.
Yeah, SNL, dude.
I haven't watched SNL since I was like, I don't even know.
This was an SNL movie, like one of the first ones, really.
It makes sense. I think I'm too young for SNL.
Fair. Written by Bonnie Turner and Terry Turner, who also wrote Wayne's World and Coneheads. They were very prolific in writing some of these SNL films. With a budget of $20 million, this movie grossed. Can you guess what this movie made?
In the 90s?
I'm cheating. I'm looking at the number now, so I'll withhold.
This movie grossed worldwide $32.7 million.
Oh.
So barely profitable.
Profit's a profit, as we will learn.
Yeah, look, in a decade where comedy movies were like, I think at like an all-time high, this movie barely broke even.
I mean, 12 mil is almost 13 mil. That's like almost their budget.
I mean, but when you've got like Ace Ventura and The Mask and, like all these like great Jim Carrey films, and you've got, it's just the fact that, it squeaked by a little bit in the grand scheme.
I guess.
But, look, 12 mil is 12 mil. So they did it there. Yeah. So Sam, you want to bring us through some reviews, and see what the people thought of this movie?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So on Rotten Tomatoes, for a to the tomato meter, the critics gave it a 41%.
Oof.
Really?
Damn.
Yeah.
Critics did not like this one.
Apparently not. And then we have an audience score of 90%.
Holy Jesus.
90.
My goodness.
Is that the largest gap we've seen so far?
I think that
so.
might be the largest. That's insane.
Makes sense.
A 50-point swing. I mean, I can see it 100%.
I absolutely see a bunch of pretentious critics being like, "Ugh, the comedy landed flat for me. I was not a fan
It
of
had
this
no
at all."
compelling story.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was hard finding a bad review on this movie.
Yeah.
I had to go through like 4 pages before I found like a less than like a 3-star.
See, I feel like I was like a dumb little baby with this because like after seeing Chris Farley run into like a window for like the 5th time, I was still laughing at it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude,
It works.
I was gonna point that out too. And I'll get to it, but like he just hits so much stuff in this movie.
The physical comedy is on point.
I mean, but that's Chris Farley for you. He is the king of physical comedy.
Physical comedy and scream comedy, I would say.
Yeah.
Son of a...
Holy shnikey.
It's just so quotable.
Yeah. But I did find one 1-star review on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll go over that one right now. Wow. So this is from Andrew A. And it states, if you saw it for the first time in the 90s, maybe it was funny. But watching it for the first time in 2020, I made it about 30 minutes, didn't laugh once, and didn't want to waste any more of my time.
I mean, all right. He didn't even finish the movie. Like, and also, really? 2020? Let me look at this through my lens of today.
I was like, half of the comedies made nowadays aren't even funny at all.
Literally.
Yeah.
Also, like, most of the funny parts in this movie, at least to me, were in the first third of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not laugh once in the first third of this movie?
There was one line that actually made me like pause the movie because it was that funny. I can't repeat it because it says a bad word in it, but
You can. What? Look, all right. It's part of the movie. You can say it.
I'm not gonna say it. But
right.
there's a scene where
I'll
he's
say it.
No, don't say it. We're still too young to be canceled.
Look, we're not. Look, all right.
No,
real talk.
Stop. This isn't high school English. We're not.
We're not reading Mockingbird.
Yeah. What happens is Tommy's like dicking around and a bunch of executives look over at him and his dad's like, "Tommy, are you okay?" And he's like, I'm very stupid. But he doesn't say stupid. He says he says the R word.
Yeah, it's so fun because he tries to play it off. He's like, I was checking out the line manufacturing on the suspension heading here, and he just knows that no one's buying it. He's like, I'm
stupid.
I'm stupid. And then it's just hard cut. Just cut.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that scene had me rolling.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All right. Anyways.
All right. And then I have a 5-star review from Noah G. That says, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Chris Farley and David Spade are my favorite comedy movie duo. The end of the film made me wonder what we could have seen from Farley if he hadn't gone too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
I was thinking about this one. I'm like, you know what show he would have been great in? He would have been The Office.
Oh my God, yep.
I think he would have been hilarious in that show as some kind of character.
Imagine if he was Kevin.
I could see it.
Yeah.
He would definitely do well in a show where it's scripted, but it doesn't feel scripted.
Yeah, right. All right. And do you have some trivia for us?
Yeah, I got a couple of points of trivia. First one we'll go over is that the movie Tommy Boy was actually Quentin Tarantino's is one of his favorite movies. Which,
no shit.
Which is like, I'm like, wait a second. Quentin Tarantino, the one that has blood and gore in every single one of his movies.
Feet.
and feet. And is also one of the greatest filmmakers ever.
Yeah. I think the point says he like plays at parties and stuff too on like the big screen.
I can so see that.
I did see that.
Imagine he brings all of his pretentious film snob friends. And he's like, come check out this great movie. And they just play Tommy Boy to them for like the 8th time. And they're like, Quentin, stop it. But none of them's going to say anything because it's Quentin Tarantino and you don't want to be on his bad side.
See, I feel like it's the other way. Like, he brings over everyone like Scorsese, Guillermo del Toro, and they just are loving it each time.
Yeah, all of those guys are like, yeah, this is awesome.
This Chris Farley fella.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Another one is that obviously the famous deer scene, deer in the car. Mm-hmm. It actually took them 5 weeks to film the shot of the deer standing on the car. They even like had a
5 weeks.
Yeah, they had like a trainer to like feed the deer and like yeah.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Worth it though.
Yeah. Well.
You know what's funny? This is not even related to anything, but it just made me think of, I forget, there was one horror movie where they were filming by like a lake swamp area and they were scared of alligators. So they hired like a gator wrangler or whatever. And well after the movie got made, he was like, I got paid to do nothing. Gators don't come out in the cold. There was never anything.
That's awesome.
I wish I remembered what movie it was.
I wouldn't have said anything either. I would have been like, yeah, I'll come get paid for nothing.
Yeah, I'll make sure there's no alligators here. Maybe it was crocodiles. I still can't tell the difference between the two.
There is no difference.
Sharks,
there's no difference.
I can tell you
oh my God.
any sort of differences. Reptiles,
like sharks.
Reptiles, I got nothing.
And lemonade. Don't forget the lemonade too.
Sharks and lemonade. Dynamic duo.
I'm not passionate about lemonade though.
He's like Bubba Gump but for lemonade.
I got all types of lemonade. I got strawberry lemonade, raspberry lemonade, blueberry lemonade.
Can make lemonade in a pot.
In a glass. In a bowl.
All right. It's enough lemonade talk.
Well, I mean, speaking of drinks, this brings into my next trivia point, which is that Chris Farley had a coffee addiction while filming this movie. And guess how many cups of cappuccino he would drink a day? Yeah, just guess.
5.
10.
27.
27. Jesus. Oh my Lord.
I'm like, I had to reread that like 4 times. Like 27 cups of freaking coffee a day.
You know,
and not just coffee, like cappuccino.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to derail this, but baseball playoffs are going on right now. Phillies, I forget who it was. He was saying how they drink the most coffee, and his quote was, "Nobody's beamed up like the Phillies." Nobody was beamed up like Chris Farley in the 90s.
Yeah. 90s Chris Farley might take the cake.
And it was like some scenes he would, like, right before the scene, he would drink like 3 cups.
Jesus.
So, which, I mean, you could tell he was kind of like off his rocker in some of the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Which made him so good.
Yeah, well, that's classic Chris.
But yeah, that's
I
all
say
I got.
as like I know him.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Oh,
so.
Chris. All right, cool. Well, before we get into this movie, we've got to watch the trailer, ladies and gentlemen, as we usually do. Are you guys ready to watch this trailer?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm good.
All right, let's do it. Press play in 3, 2, 1, go.
Holy shnikes.
Is that for me?
No, son, that's for me.
You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I know. They're called doctors.
There's always has been, always will be, a family firm. Oh, son of a... Someday my son will run it.
Luke, I am your father.
Aw, I've interrupted happy time.
That's my name. Yeah, that's your new office now. Whoa.
Do we really want to put the future of the company in Tommy's hands?
Promise me you'll look after Tommy boy here till he gets his feet wet.
Sure, and thanks for choosing me. Hey, Tommy, this is not a vacation for me. I'm out here against my will, so the least you can do is pretend to work. Ugh, I can actually hear you getting fatter. All right, it's sale time, so remember, we don't take
No for an answer.
No.
Okie dokie.
I'm gonna pass.
Gotcha, thanks. Oh, son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
Okay, let's check you out. All right.
It's a clip, huh?
Hi, are you sure?
Can't breathe.
He's a big dumb animal, isn't he, folks?
No, son of a... What'd you do? I'm a maniac on the fall.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
Why?
Oh my god.
That was my first time seeing that trailer.
Yep. And I didn't want to see it specifically because I wanted to see it for the first time on the podcast. And I legit laughed. I don't know if you could hear me, but I was laughing the whole time.
I don't even know.
The entire time.
I don't know how to describe this trailer. It is both... I understand nothing about this movie. It looks very poorly put together. Just like the...
But it's like I want to see every second.
I want to watch this movie again.
Well, I think
It's
it does.
so good.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of like not giving away the plot.
Yeah.
Like the most it does is be like, "Hey, you're gonna be in charge of the company." But like the problem with a lot of trailers nowadays, it literally gives the whole plot.
Yeah.
And this one is just like did all the goofs and takes and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get real slapstick, which is great.
I mean, we'll get into it when we talk about the plot, but it's a pretty straightforward plot. I feel like you don't need to be guided along with for it, so you might as well just let's see some of this Chris Farley comedy.
Well, speaking of, now that we've gone through all the background, are you ready to take us moment by moment, Connor, through this movie?
Sure.
All right, let's kick it off.
So, this movie opens up with a young Tommy boy running to catch his little school bus, which transitions to old Tommy boy running to his college class to take his final of college. He passes barely and graduates, so he heads back home. We meet Richard, who's played by David Spade, at the airport, and he takes him back home to Callahan Auto, the family business. It's an auto parts plant. As you saw in the trailer, he said it's always been like a family business. So as soon as Tommy gets back and graduated, Tommy is named an exec. While we take a tour of the plant, we also meet a woman named Michelle, who happens to be this movie's love interest. We go back to Tommy Boy and Big Tom's house, where we meet Beverly, the woman that Big Tom is marrying, as well as meeting her son, Paul, who is played by a somehow uncredited Rob Lowe.
Yeah, so I read after looking it up, because I wanted to make sure that it was actually Rob Lowe. He said he wanted to be uncredited because it would be a surprise for people.
Interesting.
He was like, oh, I just want it to be a surprise. Okay.
I guess it was a decent surprise.
Well, I mean, he's in the trailer, so
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, how surprised can you be? It's Paul Lowe. He's a very attractive man. You see that face, you know who he is.
It's Paul Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
Oh man,
Pablo.
He's Pablo. I do like that whoever they got to play young Tommy is like, he's like perfect. He just is like, yeah, that's Tommy.
Yeah.
That's Chris Farley as a kid.
Yeah, there's some bits that he does during this, like when he's sprinting to get to his class and he sees the women, so he's like, oh, let me saunter all cool, you know, and then just takes off for sprinting, and he gets to the doors and he can't get them open, so he's just screaming like, dear God, please, not today, and then someone just walks by and opens it for him.
Yep. And there's also some duality in this that opening shot of like, he's running through the hedges, obviously, as a kid, and then runs through the same, like what looks like the same hedges as a young guy, and just runs right into a fence, which is amazing.
Not just a fence; it was a brick wall.
Young Tommy, did you notice young Tommy drops his history book, and then when he's in college, he's running to a history exam, which he like is not good at. Let's just get that right out of the way. And it's funny too, because like in my mind I was like, oh, he's bad at history now because he dropped and lost his history book as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then just I like how they the Richard thing where it's like, oh, Richard's a kid, and then Richard's now a guy. Like, and they're still connected somehow.
Yeah.
I also want to point out real quick, when he's looking at his scores on the history final, did you guys notice any of the names?
Yeah.
So if you look closely at the list of names, like to see who passed the history final, Helen Keller is on the list, and she got an F.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's funny.
Yep. Also, worst history exam ever.
For a college class, it's like, I don't even remember the question, but it was like, who signed the Declaration of Independence?
Who the framers?
Yeah, who the framers? Yeah. It was like, all right, here's Thomas Jefferson and blank Hancock.
Like how bad of a final is this?
Yeah.
Well, there's also I think you can tell it's kind of like an error, but I was reading that like John Hancock and Thomas Jefferson weren't actually framers of the Declaration of Independence.
Nice.
It was just James Madison. So it's like,
nice, good job. They couldn't even get it right.
It's all part of the jokes. I do like afterwards too. Like after he sees the score, he's like, "I passed," and he just grabs a random guy.
Yeah,
and he's like, "I passed. I wish I knew you, cause this is getting awkward."
It's just so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like every scene that Chris Farley is in is just it's the best. You can just tell that they're having a great time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing I like bringing up, or I like to see, Big Tom and Tommy Boy have a nice relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like in a lot of these movies, it's like, oh, here's my idiot man-child of a son. Like, I hate him.
Yeah.
Why won't he just grow up? But now here, they're like, he's Tommy Boy.
Yeah, that's something I noticed too, is like the relationship between, father, son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I honestly would have liked to see how Big Tom was as a kid and if he was like Tommy Boy when he was young. Because I get that feeling. I get the feeling that like Big Tom was the same kind of like slacker kind of dude.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because they have the same personality, 100%.
Yeah. Big Tom just strikes me as like 90s executive though, so I feel like he's little sleazy, the woman he is marrying, quotes again, I keep doing air quotes, but I gotta say, quote, Mary, is like half his age.
Yeah.
This happens.
I do like the shot of like he's going down like saying like, my father or my grandfather started this place and my father and my aunt or whatever, and then like the very next frame is Tommy Boy in like a little window, and it's like, and soon my kids will own this place, and it's like, oh, I like that little like visual nod to like, oh, Tommy Boy's not in the frame in like all the paintings, but he's there, he's on the wall.
Yeah, he's next.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know, I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. There's just so many quotable lines just from this first part of it too.
Yeah.
Like when Tommy Boy meets Paul, Rob Lowe is just like, I guess I'm your brother. Goes to shake his hand. Chris Farley's like, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
Brothers gotta hug. It's just the way he says it.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
I also love, and it was in the trailer, but the paint chips line was awesome.
Yeah, that came up a couple times.
Yeah, it's like, did you eat paint chips as a kid? And he goes, why? It's just man, that line with any other person wouldn't work.
Yeah. I think Chris Farley does play a very good dumb man child.
Yeah. And David Spade is amazing as like the sarcastic straight man.
What do you mean by straight man?
What?
Nah, he's a good nerd.
Yeah, that's what he is in every movie. He's the sarcastic guy who makes jokes at others' expense.
Yeah.
And it works every single time because he's so damn good at it.
Yeah. Normally I find that character annoying, but he towed the line just enough for me.
I think, and I have not a count, but I have a list of some of my favorite lines from this movie. And one of my favorites, I think it might be my actual favorite. It's right before the wedding scene, which we're going to get to in a second, when he's talking with Michelle. Mm-hmm. He's like, I have what doctors call a little bit of a weight problem with the quotes. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that line just hits me like, oh my God, this guy is just so dumb. I love it.
Yeah, it's like he's dumb, but he's aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that line. But then she offered him coffee, which as we have realized or learned,
he's like, yeah.
I don't think he was acting.
Yeah, he probably wasn't acting there.
Just snapped him out of character. Yeah, coffee? Yeah. 3, please.
Yeah.
Also, what about his like Paul's like, I want to do something dangerous. and Tommy takes him cow tipping.
You guys ever see what was that show, like Back at the Barnyard or whatever?
Yes, the show based on the movie.
Yeah,
Barnyard.
Yeah. As soon as like he was like explaining how to tip the cow, all I can think of was, that's called cow tipping. Ha ha ha.
Yep. Oh my god. Man, Rob Lowe too. Like, they set him up as a bad guy. 30 seconds into his on-screen time, he yells, or he doesn't yell at a kid, but he like slams the window against the kid and throws trash on a baby. And I'm like, damn, this guy sucks.
Yeah. It's so funny too, because like Rob Lowe is just not a bad guy.
No, not at all.
But I guess a young Rob Lowe is.
All right, are we ready to move to the next scene?
Mm-hmm. So,
all right,
as you had brought up, we have the wedding, Big Tom and Beverly. Everything's going well, except Big Tom has a heart attack and bites it right up on stage.
The way you just said that, I'm sorry. Everything's going well, but Big Tom's dead.
It's like everything's going well, but we ran out of shrimp cocktails about 30 minutes ago. Also, Big Tom just had a heart attack and keeled over.
Yep.
So yeah, Big Tom died. All the executives for Callahan Auto, they meet up to discuss selling to Zelensky, who is like this big corporation national, because Callahan Auto was introducing their new brake pad division as the next big thing. But now that Big Tom is out of the picture, the bank reneges on their deal, and they are asking for all their debts to be paid. So Tommy decides to volunteer to go out and sell brake pads to show that they're profitable. Poor old Richard gets dragged along with them. And yeah, they have to... Tommy also stakes all of his shares into this as well to buy them enough time to go out on their road trip and sell brake pads. And they suck at it. They're terrible. There was that scene in the trailer where it's like, yeah, what's our rule? We're not taking no as an answer. No every single time. They're like, all right.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. No. Alrighty then.
So I did like the wedding, and I liked the wedding. I thought it was cool how like they kind of show don't tell how popular Big Tom actually was, because there was a boatload of people.
Yeah, I think that's just par for the course when you're the head executive of like the company that is employing most of the town.
Yeah. And his death, like, I actually was not expecting it, and it hit me hard. Like, I was like, damn, that sucks.
There's also a scene, I guess before the wedding, where Tommy and Michelle are out on Tommy's boat, just like a little dinghy.
Yeah, that was just after.
Just after?
The wedding. And
just after the funeral, yeah. That scene cracked me up. They're out on this little boat, and there's like a bunch of kids just making fat jokes at Tommy. And he's like trying to play it off. He's like, oh. They're like, oh, yeah, like, you got a whale on board. And he's like, if you guys don't shut up, I'll come over there and I'll kick your fucking asses, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, don't swear in front of the lady. And then finally Michelle stands up and she says, I will kill you in your sleep, essentially.
I know where you live or something like that. Yeah.
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 I actually didn't really like that scene. I just
Really?
To me it felt forced. Like I was just like, okay, this is enough. But for the very brief little bit, like in the beginning of that scene where we get to like actually see Chris Farley act, and not just be like the comedy slapstick kind of guy, I was like, damn. Like it's so sad that he passed away, because if he had the chance to, like a lot of these comedic actors have done, like you do all your comedy movies and then you start to move into more serious dramatic roles. Like, I don't know, I feel like he would have been amazing as a dramatic actor too. Mm-hmm. And you get a little bit, like you can see Tommy starting to tear up a little bit talking about his dad and how much he misses him. And I was like, it's like, damn, like that hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess in terms of like scene construction, I would have much rather they just had like a more serious scene instead of feeling like we can't get too serious. We got to insert some jokes.
Yeah, I guess that's why to me it felt forced, is because like it was supposed to be this heartfelt scene, and then all of a sudden here's more jokes. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it still works. So
yeah, the jokes worked for me. I thought it was funny, just seeing Tommy just slowly erupt at a bunch of kids.
Yeah. Also, on their first sale, like first off, they go out on the road, and David Spade is just laying into Tommy, like calling him fat, say like in the trailer, like, oh, I can feel you getting fatter, or whatever,
calling him dumb.
Yeah, which is just hilarious. But they get to their first sale, and I love how Richard goes through his whole like spiel. And is like, you got to speak my language. And Tommy's like, I can do that. And he does this whole thing with the model cars.
That was good.
And I was just like, dude.
I don't know how he didn't sell them. I mean,
he did kind of ruin a bunch of model cars.
Yeah, but like, if you think about it, the message was spot on. It's like, hey, you use our cars, you're not going to get into this flaming accident that's going to murder your entire family. To buy our parts.
God. Just the fact that he was like, I thought he was gonna stop, and then you just see him, he's like lighting the car on fire. It's like, dude, you made your point.
Yeah. Chris Farley does it a lot, and I love it. He'll be like doing the screaming comedy, and then he'll just cut to you. So yeah, you see what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
Works for me every time. Like I said, I'm like a little dumb baby. If you do something that I like and keep doing it, I'm gonna keep liking it.
Oh yeah. I also enjoyed, like, after that scene where they're going to get gas and stuff like that. I like scenes where you can, like, the focus is obviously what's going on in the background versus what's going on in the foreground. Like when David Spade is up asking for directions, and you can clearly see through the window that Tommy has broken his car and is trying to fix it. Just, I don't know, I love those kind of shots. And you get it a little bit in Halloween, in 2018 Halloween, which I think we talked about last week, where like you can see Michael Myers killing someone in the background of a shot. I don't know, just that focus, that type of shot is just so unique and cool to me. So I had to call that one out.
Yeah, I like scenes like that. But
is this where the deer comes? We're talking about the deer as well.
Yeah, so they hit a deer because they were distracted. And they just, instead of just pushing it to the side of the road, they loaded up into their car.
So did they actually hit the deer, or did the deer have a heart attack?
I think they hit the deer.
It looked, well, because when you look at the car, there's no damage on the front end, and that was a big ass deer. Like, there's gonna be some damage if you hit it.
Well, especially since like one of the jokes is like, look how fucked up this guy's car gets. Like,
yeah,
Tommy goes in reverse and accidentally like doesn't shut his door, so now the door's falling off. Like, it would have made sense if they hit the deer and then it's like, oh, like your car is shaped like a U now.
Yeah, but when you look at the car, it's not. It's like totally fine on the front end. So I think that deer had a heart attack and died and died in the middle, quote unquote, died in the middle of the road.
Yeah, that's the thing. It didn't die, so that they could set up it coming back to life and just absolutely destroying.
Yeah,
what was left of their
car.
Just, I don't even.
That was another scene I didn't really like, to be honest. I was just like, I could do without it.
My thing is, I don't like when they do like the shock looks in each direction. Like,
yeah,
it's right ahead of you. You're not looking on the other side of the highway.
True. I did like how, I don't know if you noticed, but like the deer scene happens, and then the very next shot, they're at the, what is it, like the Deer Gulch Motel or something like that. Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I like that.
And then also, I just want to point out, when they're in that motel and Chris Farley does the fat guy little coat thing,
mm-hmm.
that was actually something that Chris Farley used to do to David Spade in real life, on like in the writer's room of SNL when they were writing.
Mm-hmm.
And David Spade hated it, absolutely hate, because he would do it all the time to just distract Spade from writing and doing his work. He would just be like, hey David,
big guy, little coat, big.
And he would wait until he gets his attention to be like, fat guy in a little coat. So when they did it, when he did it on set, it was, Spade actually didn't like it. He despised him doing it.
It was a clean rip though. Once he actually like ripped his jacket,
mm-hmm.
Clean right down the middle. 10 out of 10, no notes.
10 out of 10, no notes. All right, I think we're ready for the next scene.
Yeah. So while this is actually happening, it's revealed at a Callahan sponsored carnival. I guess they have money for that. It's revealed that Beverly and Paul are actually a couple. They're not mom and son. That's kind of important for the movie, just FYI.
Just a little bit.
But yeah, so after they're striking out on all their sales pitches, they go to a diner, and Tommy nails a sales pitch to a waitress there because he wants to get some wings.
Some chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
So he nails the sales pitch to her to get her to turn the stove on. And they kind of realize, like, okay, we actually have an approach that works. Like, you know how to talk to people and like read people, and I'm smart, essentially. So they start to formulate their game plan, and it works. They start nailing sales left and right all over the country. But back at home, Paul is hearing about all the success. He's getting worried because Beverly and Paul are con artists, so they just married Tom to get his money. They ended up getting half of Callahan's auto, so they want to sell it so that they can actually get money. So Paul starts trying to sabotage them. He ends up changing their sales info on a company computer, and all the orders end up being incorrect and canceled. So when Tommy Boy and Richard come back thinking that they had hit their goal, turns out half the orders got canceled. The bank pulls out of their agreement, and they are going to have to be sold. So
yeah, I think I do like that revelation scene. I thought that was actually a really well crafted scene,
mm-hmm.
especially right after the fight.
Yeah.
And also like so I work in marketing and I work closely with salespeople. It's cool for me to see like how Tommy's personality, like who he is so perfect for sales. Like he is that outgoing kind of I can talk to anyone, it doesn't really matter kind of person, and he gets people to like him. It's cool to see that like it's just all he has to do is just relax and not get nervous, and boom, salesperson. I think that works for me.
Yeah, because I think that it's a true thing. It's kind of just like he clearly is not a calm person. Mm-hmm. He's not really able to think things through. So when he can just pick up on like what your interests are, like the first scene where he actually makes a sale is with a guy who's like, your boxes don't have guaranteed on them. Like, what? How? Why not? Like, I gotta sell stuff that's guaranteed. And he's able to twist that like, I can sell you a box of my shit, slap a guaranteed sticker on it, and it's guaranteed. Like, it was a good revelation scene, I would say, where it finally all came together.
Yep. I don't know. How did you guys feel about the second hotel scene?
Is this the one with the
woman?
The woman? That kind of just felt forced in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Spade is just kind of like peeping on this attractive woman going by or just skinny dipping in the pool.
Which is wild. That's an absolutely batshit crazy thing to do.
Yeah, he's quite literally jerking off to her.
I think that was like Chris Farley's actual real life partner, right?
Shoot, Jesus.
Was it?
I think so.
Oh my god.
Pretty sure.
That's nuts. Oh my goodness. Well, that just makes me not like the scene even more.
No.
I also, although I will say, I did like the third motel scene when he's knocking on the thing. He's like, housekeeping?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Housekeeping? Go away! Housekeeping?
For the love of God, let me sleep!
Housekeeping, want me to jerk you off?
Hello.
What kind of hotel you running here?
Yeah, that was fun.
I don't know, it's just, I've said, like, I've done the housekeeping thing in real life. I never knew that. That's what it was from. Yep. So it was cool to see like actually where that was from.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Mm-hmm. I also liked I liked that this movie, like throughout the movie, I expected them to somehow to fail. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't going to be able to do it. I really liked that they actually was like, oh no, they did it. They were successful, but for this reason outside of their control, they still failed. I don't know. For whatever reason, I enjoyed that little twist. Because I mean, if you had just shown me like the plot of the movie, and like, oh yeah, they couldn't do it and came home failures, and then something happened, and they're like, oh, it's actually a win.
Yeah, it's like
I like the turned it on its head.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, the entire movie is them trying to make the sales, and right before the bank is going to pull their funding, they're able to make that big sale to keep it going. Mm-hmm. No, that's why this was like, I want to say the halfway point or close to it, and they were like, oh no, we hit our goal, we can go home.
Yeah, right. I was like, wow, okay. I do wish we had more of them on the road though, because Chris and David on the road was awesome. Yeah, it was just so much fun. Yeah, they did.
I did like right before like the diner, like they get into a fight, and Chris Farley's just like, "Give me your best shot." Boom, gets punched in the face. He's like, huh, "Was that a strong breeze or something?" Boom, gets punched again. And they just keep doing this, and all of a sudden David Spade just comes in with like a plank of wood and just bashes him across the face.
Like, oh, yep, that'll do it.
You got me.
Oh, man. All right, and I think... Are we ready for the next section?
Yeah, so this is basically the ending section, if you will, the cool down. Or not even the cool down, but ignore me. So
rewind.
So they technically don't hit their goal. Bank's backing out. They're going to be sold. So Tommy has the idea of going to Zelensky's, who I mentioned he was like the big auto dealer who was going to buy their company, and try to convince him not to buy their plant. There's a scene at the airport after Michelle and Tommy had got into a fight over why the thing broke, or their orders weren't tracked right. And she sees Paul and Beverly kissing, which is when she realizes, oh, that's not right. Goes to the cops. That'll come back later. So Tommy and Richard hitch a flight to Chicago posing as flight attendants, which somehow works. They're able to get to Chicago, not in handcuffs. But when they go to Zelensky, he refuses. He wants to buy the Callahan name, essentially, just so he can buy that brand loyalty and shut down their plant, putting all their people out of a job. So Tommy, after they got kicked out because Tommy had staked all of his shares and like they didn't achieve their goal, so he technically had no positions with the company anymore. Tommy gets kicked out and he goes back by pretending to be a suicide bomber, which gets him into the sales meeting, which also gets a camera crew to come with him. And he gets Zelensky on camera to buy 500,000 brake pads, which is enough for them to hit their bank goal. And it's also revealed here, or not revealed. Michelle has the police reports saying that Beverly and Paul are married and are also wanted criminals. Actually, it was just Paul. Beverly was fine. Paul is a wanted criminal. So technically, her marriage to Big Tom was never legal. So she doesn't have any shares with Callahan Auto. They're all with Tommy. So Tommy shuts down the sale to Zelensky. He saves the company. Paul gets arrested. And Beverly just gets a nice dinner with Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, apparently.
So Tommy's the hero. Saved the day for the town of Sandusky. Horrible name. And gets appointed the president of Callahan Auto, with this movie ending with Tommy back on that boat talking to his dad. It's a good little heartfelt scene. And he asks his dad for a gust of wind so he can go and finally move. And he does get that breeze. That's how this movie ends.
Yay.
Happy endings.
The bees. We got to talk about
the bee scene.
The bees. Now, when I tell you, you run out screaming. That is slapstick that works. Like, some of this movie had some kind of okay slapstick scenes. That one works so well. It's just, he just runs out of the car like, bees!
I do like that it actually works.
Yeah,
because
right?
like they were getting chased by, not even chased by the cops, but Tommy's just like, just follow my lead. He gets out screaming, the bees! They're all over us. And the cops are like, well, I don't want to deal with that.
We'll come back with.
We'll come back later.
We're both. I think they were both like, "I'm allergic. Are you?" Or something like that. They're both allergic to bees.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like,
I want to also bring up the bank scene when he robbed. Like,
oh, dude, that was...
I have an announcement. Everyone just drops down on the ground.
Like the cops just slide him the gun, and he's like, "Oh boy." And I do like that those cops also are getting interviewed by that news crew, and they're like, "Oh, he came behind us and just repeatedly was hitting my head with a hammer. I had no choice."
The little boy was like, "It's the man that robbed the bank," or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my god, so funny. Before they get to Chicago, when they're on the airplane, had another one of my favorite lines. I have two more lines that I loved in this movie, and it was when Chris Farley was talking to the flight attendant, and he goes, what are we serving tonight? Chicken or chicken? It's just the delivery there is perfect. Like, you can't make it any better.
Yeah. There's a scene with him like trying to change in the bathroom. And I only bring this up because I have had an experience where I'm not like a big guy, but I'm like kind of a wider guy. Like, I got a broad set of shoulders on me. And I've tried to change in a very small space. And I've had a very similar experience to what he had, where he just essentially just everything is just in his way and he ends up falling out. Been there, done that.
Yep. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he does too. Like, he gets his feet stuck in the toilet.
Gets tie stuck in the
toilet.
toilet.
Comes down and conks his head. And it's like, oh,
a lot of stuff hits his head.
Well, yeah. Throughout this movie, all right. One of my theories is that he's so dumb because you look at the amount of times stuff hits him in the head in this movie, and you count that to the rest of his life. He's gotta have had many concussions.
Easily.
And he was a rugby player.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, CTE is his middle name.
Yeah. Right next to Boy. His name is his full name is Tommy Boy CTE Callahan III.
The third.
I did write that down too. The amount of time Tommy hits his head on things is absurd. I had that written down.
Yeah.
Also, Dan Aykroyd is in this movie for like 20 minutes, and he rocks every moment.
He has the dumbest haircut I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
But it is, I found it so funny once, like, Paul and Beverly get busted. Paul's like trying to escape the cops, and Dan Aykroyd is just like, well, why don't we get lunch?
I do like
a bottle of wine or something.
Yeah, I actually have the quote up here because that's one of I have one more after this, but he says, Marty, he goes like in perfect beat. Marty, find out where the police are going to be taking him. Send over a bottle of bubbly with a bucket of ice and a card. Have it say, tough break, get drunk on me, use the bucket of ice to down your marbles, yours Z. And it's just like the delivery, it's so good.
It's
like every time.
So snappy.
This movie just, like without missing a beat, he says it. And it's like, wow, this guy, it's like either this guy really is like kind of scummy or he's seen this before. And he's like, all right, you know what to do.
Yeah. Well, he has his assistant just right there at the ready.
Yep. Yeah, this is true. And then also when he gets into the elevator, it's like, what a little heavy on the pine tree scent.
Mm-hmm.
It's taxi cab air freshener. Good, you've pinpointed it. Step 2 is washing it out. Like, damn.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah. But I think my all-time favorite moment in this film is when they're on the bench after they fail with Zelensky. And Tommy's like, oh, my dad died and like, oh, this factory's going to shut down and all this like woe is me stuff. And then at the end of it, the bench just breaks. It just
right
falls off. And he goes, could have done without that. It's just amazing. It's so good every time.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm realizing more and more how much I really, really like Chris Farley.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool to see them actually like come together and save the day at the end.
Yeah, I also found it funny how Richard had a toupee. Never would have guessed that.
Nope, it looks so good.
Yeah, and then once it gets blown off, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, that little nod at the end too. He's like, pointing to his
like
head.
points to his head. He's like,
yeah.
I did like the scene when like Tommy's back. He's president now, and he's like talking to talking to the entire company. He's like giving everyone shout outs, and he's like, and Paul, I lost my virginity to your daughter. And everyone starts cheering, and Paul's like, what the fuck, man? Mm-hmm. And he's like, and Chris, you were there with me, buddy.
Yeah.
Although, all right, this is where I want to point out. I was talking about before us recording. Did you notice that when he's introduced at the end as the new president, it's like new president Tom Callahan Jr. But his name's Tom Callahan III, and it's on the door at the beginning of the movie.
Huh.
I mean, that's just totally messed up. They messed it up.
Did they kill someone in his bloodline?
Apparently. But I was like, wait a minute. I actually had to rewind while I was like, after I finished the movie, I was like, there's no way. I must have been thinking about, his name is actually Tom Callahan III, and they introduced him as Tom Callahan Jr.
Tom Callahan Jr. the second.
Seventh in his name.
What'd you guys think of the final scene?
The boat scene?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty heartfelt. You know, he's saying like, I miss you, Dad. I know you'd be proud of me. Yeah, they did the gag of like, oh, he does get the breeze after he asked his dad for the breeze, and the sail like hits him in the back of the head. But I still liked it.
Yeah, I mean, like when I saw that, I'm like, there's definitely going to be a breeze, and it's going to be cliche like that. But I it wasn't bad, you know. It was.
I'm fine with the cliche.
Yeah, especially in this kind of movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All right. Well, we have stripped away. We have gone through this movie scene by scene, moment by moment. And now I think it's time for our ratings. Connor, why don't we start with you?
Yeah. I gave this movie a 3.5 knee slaps out of 5. Fun watch. I'll definitely watch it again. I'll definitely put it on for a party. Shout out Quentin.
All right. So what'd you give it?
3.5.
3.5. And Sam.
I gave this movie also a 3.5 chuckles out of 5. Out of 5.
3.5
right.
barrels of laughs.
And I am giving this a solid 3 out of 5. It was a lot of fun. I very much enjoyed it.
3 out of 5 what?
3 out of 5 Chris Farley head knocks.
All right.
Or 3 out of 5 holy shnikes. How about that? No, it was a fun movie. It was really just, I mean, it was good. There's nothing. It was like one of those entertaining movies where you know what you get when you go into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts us at an average rating of a 3.3, which, if we take a look at our list of movies that we've been watching, puts us at 5th. Right below Friday the 13th Part 2, right above 10 Things I Hate About You. So,
not bad, not bad.
Yeah.
all right. So, final thing that we need to do is spin the wheel.
Spin.
Oh boy.
That wheel.
All right. So, last week we spun Tommy Boy. We also spun Uncle Buck. So, I'm not including either of those this time, obviously. But let's see what we get. First choice.
Drum roll, please.
We've got Meet the Parents.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, hello.
And for our second choice to debate,
Drum roll again.
we've got, drum roll please. Ooh, barely eking out Mrs. Doubtfire. We've got Grown Ups.
Oh.
Do we double up with some David Spade?
I think we should double up with some David Spade. Yeah. My vote is for Grown Ups.
Yeah, I'll go Grown Ups too.
Yeah, I like Grown Ups.
All right. A unanimous Grown Ups decision. So, next week's episode, we will be watching Grown Ups, the Adam Sandler movie.
David Spade movie.
And also featuring David Spade.
And the guy that Will Smith bitch slapped.
So if you like this episode, please give us a follow, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us out, and we really, really appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter. We also have Facebook. We have Instagram. We have TikTok. And we're working on right now setting up a YouTube as well. So we can get our full versions of our podcast out there. So check us out on all those places. I also want to thank Josh Woodward for our theme music. It's really great. We love it. Check out our new website, too. It's filmboxpod.com. You can see all of our podcasts there. You can listen right on the website. And also you can see some of our new movie reviews. We've got 2 out there right now. We've got a lot more planned. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. We've got merch. Go to our Redbubble. Check out our merch. And finally, we've got Letterboxd. Each of us individually has a Letterboxd profile. You can check us out there, see our opinions on all the movies we've been watching this year. But yeah, no, I think with that said, we can end it off on a high note. And this has been the Filmbox Podcast. We'll see you next time.
See you, Chucksters.
I'm running away, don't bother to Facebook message or call me. Cause I'm living life in airplane mode and everything is okay. I just wanna play, unplug for the day and live in the moment. Cause I'm living life in airplane mode, yeah.
Today's a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking for a new marketing channel, have a message you want to share with the world, or just think it'd be fun to have your own talk show, podcasting is an easy, inexpensive, and fun way to expand your reach online. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest way and the best way to launch, promote, and track your podcasts. Your shows can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and even more within minutes of finishing your recording. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Let's create something great together.
Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know we sent you, as well as getting you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and it helps support our show.
We use Buzzsprout, and honestly, it's really great. I use it to track all of our where we're being listed. We get our own website. It's really just a fantastic service, and I would recommend it to anyone that's interested in starting a podcast.
Buzzsprout helps you get your show listed on every major podcast platform. That takes one of the hardest steps in creating a podcast out of the equation for you, thanks to Buzzsprout's help.
And if you want to upgrade, Buzzsprout has tons of guides to help you find the right equipment at the right price. Plus, it helps you navigate how to do things, how to market your show, how to make money off your show, how to do all sorts of stuff. It's all right there for you to use. Honestly, it's not hard when you have the right partners, and Buzzsprout is absolutely one of the best partners you can have out there.
They care about you. They're passionate about helping you succeed with your show.
So if you're interested in signing up for Buzzsprout, use the link in the description of the show here. Like we said, it'll get you $20 Amazon gift card. And it supports us, and we appreciate it greatly. And now, back to the show.
Ooh.